On the streets of Los Angeles, entire neighborhoods look like scenes from a horror film. People staggering like the walking dead, victims of a drug deadlier than heroin and stronger than morphine. Fentanyl is spreading faster than the city can fight it, claiming lives in every corner from Skid Row to the suburbs. But the real question is, if this is what's happening in LA today, how long before it reaches your city tomorrow? Every 7 minutes, someone in America dies from a fentanyl overdose. In 2025 alone, more than 100,000 people have lost their lives, and nearly 2 out of 3 of those deaths were caused by fentanyl. The numbers are so large they almost don't feel real. But here in Los Angeles, the crisis is impossible to ignore. Walk through Skid Row in the early morning and you will see bodies slumped against walls, tents lining the sidewalks, people shuffling slowly with glassy eyes. It looks like something from a horror movie, yet it is real life, happening in the heart of one of the richest cities in the world. The scope of the problem is staggering. In California, fentanyl deaths have gone up more than 800% in just 5 years. Last year alone, Los Angeles County reported more than 4,300 deaths from fentanyl, more than any other county in the state. Federal agents at the southern border seized record amounts of the drug, and still, more than enough made its way onto the streets to destroy thousands of families. But numbers only tell part of the story. On a corner near 6th and San Pedro, a woman in her 40s leans against a wall, clutching a photo of a young boy. Her voice is shaky as she explains, "They call us zombies, but I was a mother once. I lost my son to this poison, and now I'm losing myself." Just blocks away, a man lies on the ground, motionless, while paramedics administer Narcan, hoping to bring him back. The camera lingers on his chest as it slowly begins to rise and fall again. These are not faceless statistics. These are real people with lives and families, caught in the grip of something far bigger than themselves. From Venice Beach to the San Fernando Valley, the pattern repeats, lives unraveling, families grieving, communities on edge, and still the question remains, why here, and why now? What makes Los Angeles such fertile ground for fentanyl's deadly spread? The City of Angels is also a city of contradictions. In downtown, gleaming glass towers rise above sidewalks filled with tents. In Hollywood, movie stars walk red carpets, while just a few miles away, young teens share fake oxycodone pills laced with fentanyl in back alleys. This is the strange and dangerous web of connections that holds the crisis in place. Los Angeles sits near one of the busiest trafficking routes in the world. Shipments move across the border through Tijuana and San Ysidro, just a few hours away by freeway, and dealers flood neighborhoods with counterfeit pills that look almost identical to prescription medication. To many teenagers in South Los Angeles, the so-called blues seem harmless, just something friends share to take the edge off. But one pill can kill, and many never get a second chance to learn the truth. The vulnerability of this city goes deeper than geography. Rising rents have pushed thousands of families out of stable housing, and when people lose their homes, they often lose their grip on stability altogether. Survival becomes the focus, and drugs offer an escape from the constant stress. In places like South Central, access to treatment is almost non-existent, with only 1 rehab bed for every 5,000 residents, compared to a national average of 1 for every 1,500. That gap means many who want help can't get it, and the cycle continues. Inside the emergency room at County USC Medical Center, a nurse wipes her forehead as she describes the steady flow of overdoses. "Every shift we lose someone," she says quietly. "Sometimes 3, 4 a night. It's not just addicts, it's working people, kids experimenting once. It can happen to anyone." Her words hang heavy, a reminder that the crisis doesn't respect boundaries of class or background. And then there is the stigma. In many communities, families hide the problem, afraid of judgment. Neighbors whisper, churches struggle to respond, and too often shame keeps people silent until it is too late. This silence feeds the crisis, making it easier for fentanyl to spread through schools, workplaces, and families. The web is complex, pulling together poverty, housing, healthcare, stigma, and geography into one knot that is nearly impossible to untangle. The question for viewers becomes urgent. Would you recognize fentanyl if you saw it? Would your children? Do you believe your city is safe? Los Angeles shows us what can happen when the storm gathers strength unchecked. But it also warns us that no place is beyond reach. The truth is sobering. The city is caught in a net of circumstances that makes it especially vulnerable. The drugs are cheap, powerful, and everywhere. The services are scarce. The shame is heavy, and the temptation is strong. It is a perfect storm, and as the camera pans across another block filled with tents, the sense of unease grows. If this is Los Angeles today, what will tomorrow bring for the rest of the nation? Los Angeles is a city that glitters in the sunlight, where palm trees sway above wide streets, and movie stars smile from billboards. But look closer, and you will see shadows in every corner. The fentanyl crisis has not only entered the city, it has woven itself into the very fabric of daily life. On one block, a yoga studio with floor-to-ceiling glass windows glows in the morning light, while just steps away, a man stumbles in circles, his lips blue, clutching a small piece of foil. This is the strange truth of Los Angeles. Luxury condos climb higher into the sky, yet right beneath them, tents spread across the sidewalks. The divide between rich and poor is no longer a quiet fact. It is a visible wound that runs through the city, and in that wound, fentanyl has taken root. The geography of Los Angeles makes it uniquely vulnerable. The city sits close to one of the busiest drug entry points in the country. Just a 3-hour drive south lies Tijuana and the San Ysidro border, where shipments of powder and counterfeit pills cross daily. Even when customs officers seize thousands of pounds, far more slips through. By the time these pills reach the streets of Boyle Heights, Watts, or Hollywood, they look so real that even trained eyes can barely tell the difference. Small, round blue tablets called blues spread through schools and neighborhoods. They cost less than $10 each, cheaper than a fast food meal, yet inside they can carry enough fentanyl to kill. In South Los Angeles high schools, students whisper about them like candy. A single pill passed behind lockers, a nervous laugh, a dare, and the damage is done. Parents say they had no idea that their children seemed fine until the knock on the door came. He thought it was just a pain pill, one mother says, holding a picture of her 16-year-old son. He never woke up. Her voice cracks, and her words echo the same story told in hundreds of homes across the county. But this is not only about teens. Adults working 2 jobs, struggling to pay rent as costs rise faster than wages, sometimes turn to pills or powder just to keep going. The stress of living on the edge becomes unbearable, and fentanyl promises quick relief. For those who slip into homelessness, the drug becomes both escape and survival. On the sidewalks of Skid Row, where more than 5,000 unhoused people live in tents and makeshift shelters, foil squares litter the ground like leaves. The air is heavy with smoke, the smell bitter and metallic. Here the drug is not hidden, it is daily life. The healthcare gap only makes the web tighter. In South Central, there is just 1 rehab bed for every 5,000 people who need help. The national average is 1 for every 1,500. That difference means thousands wait for weeks or months if they get treatment at all. An ER nurse at County USC shakes her head as she pulls off her gloves after another overdose case. Every shift we lose someone, she says. 3, sometimes 4. And it's not always who you'd expect. It's teenagers, it's mothers, it's fathers coming in after work. Her words cut through the noise, showing that this crisis does not stay in one place. It spreads, touching families who never thought it would come for them. Stigma makes it even harder. Families hide their pain out of fear. Neighbors look away. In some churches, whispers circle when a family loses a child to overdose, as if shame should be heavier than grief. The silence builds walls around those who most need help. One young man in Watts says, "I wanted to tell someone, but I knew they'd just call me weak, so I kept using." His eyes are tired. His hands shake as he speaks. His story is not unique. It is repeated again and again in different neighborhoods, in different voices, with the same heavy weight. And then there is the contrast, the glitter and the struggle side by side. Tourists snap photos of the Walk of Fame, while only a block away, a woman lies motionless on the ground. A red carpet is rolled out for an award show as, just miles away, Narcan is sprayed into the nose of a man on a sidewalk, his life hanging by a thread. The city itself has become a mirror showing 2 worlds, one shining with promise, the other drowning in despair. The web of connections holds tight because each strand pulls on the others. Poverty leads to stress. Stress leads to escape. Escape leads to shame. Shame blocks treatment. Lack of treatment leads back to the street. And the cycle begins again, spreading further every day. Los Angeles is not only facing a drug, it is facing a storm of forces that together make fentanyl almost impossible to stop. The question that hangs over the city is the same one that should hang over every viewer. If this can happen here in one of the most famous cities in the world, what makes us think it cannot
happen where we live? Would you recognize fentanyl if you saw it? Would your children? Would you know how to save a life if the moment came? The camera lingers on a child's playground near South Los Angeles, where a single blue pill lies in the grass beside the swing set. The sound of children's laughter fades, replaced by silence, as the screen goes dark. The fentanyl crisis in Los Angeles does not move in a straight line. It coils like a snake circling back on itself, each turn tighter than the last. Once someone is caught, it is rarely a single fall. It is a chain of events that pulls them deeper, turning struggles into traps. Addiction begins with one pill, one line, one smoke on a piece of foil,
but quickly it grows into something larger than choice. A man who once had a steady job misses work for the third time in a week. His boss lets him go. With no paycheck, the rent is lost, and soon the landlord changes the locks. What started as an attempt to numb the pain becomes the reason he now has no home at all. On Skid Row, the cycle is clear. People who are sick with withdrawal crouch near alley walls, their bodies shaking, their eyes begging for relief. Dealers walk by with tiny bags, and the exchange is quick. The moment the drug enters their system, the pain eases. But the peace never lasts, and the body demands more. Soon, the same people return to the same corner, trapped in a loop that repeats day after day. Even those who are rushed to the emergency room after an overdose rarely escape the circle. After being revived with Narcan, many are discharged within hours, only to find themselves back on the street with no shelter, no follow-up care, and no way to break free. Doctors know it, nurses know it, and the patients know it too. The hospital doors become a revolving entrance, not an exit. One young man in Echo Park explains it quietly, his hands twisting in his lap. "I tried to quit 5 times, he says. "They gave me a bed for 3 days, then put me back out on the street. What do they think happens next?" His words are sharp, carrying both truth and defeat. He is not alone. The system offers a window, but the window is too small and closes too fast. Those who fall through return to the same streets that fed the addiction in the first place. The cycle spins, never stopping. Policy often makes the trap tighter. Police sweeps push encampments from one block to another, scattering people instead of helping them. The goal is to clean the sidewalks, but the result is only movement, not change. The problem spreads, drifting into new neighborhoods. Families in Boyle Heights wake to find used needles near playgrounds. Residents of Hollywood step over unconscious bodies near bus stops. The crisis has no borders. Each attempt to hide it only shifts the location, never the weight. For families, the cycle is cruel. Parents search for their children, sometimes finding them alive but too far gone to recognize. Others find only a call from the morgue. A woman in East Los Angeles holds a locket with her daughter's picture inside. "She wanted help," the mother whispers, "but we couldn't find a place that would take her. They told us to wait. We waited too long." The grief in her eyes shows the cost of a system too weak to hold those who slip. The vicious cycle is not only about drugs and people. It is about the way every broken piece of the city feeds another. High rents push people out of homes. Homelessness makes them more vulnerable to dealers. Dealers spread fentanyl, which leads to overdoses. Overdoses strain hospitals, which cannot hold everyone. The lack of long-term care sends people back to the streets, where the circle begins again. Each turn adds more weight, more loss, more despair. Los Angeles tries to fight back, but sometimes the fight itself deepens the wounds. Crackdowns fuel fear. Fear drives people deeper into hiding. The drug becomes harder to track, and the deaths rise. A city built on sunshine now carries a shadow that grows darker by the day. The crisis does not stand still. It loops and twists, pulling more people inside, tightening its grip until escape feels almost impossible. The camera follows the cycle once more, from the hospital to the street, from the tent to the grave, and back again, leaving the question hanging: how can a city break free when the very system meant to save people keeps feeding the storm? As heavy as the crisis feels, there are sparks of light across Los Angeles. On a quiet morning in Boyle Heights, a white van parks at the edge of a crowded block. Its doors swing open, and inside, shelves are stacked with small bottles, clean needles, and packets of medicine. This is a mobile treatment clinic, run by doctors and volunteers who bring care to people who would never make it to a hospital or rehab center. A man in his 20s steps inside, his eyes tired but open, and a nurse greets him by name. She hands him a dose of buprenorphine, a medicine that quiets the storm of withdrawal and gives his body a chance to breathe. For him and many others, this van is more than a vehicle. It is a doorway back to life. In Watts, a small office tucked between corner stores holds another kind of hope. Here, people who once struggled with fentanyl themselves now work as peer navigators. They walk the same streets where they once bought drugs, but now they stop to talk, to listen, to guide. One man, sober for 2 years, kneels beside a woman sitting on the curb and whispers, "I've been where you are. Let me help you find a bed tonight." His words carry weight because they are born from truth. For many who feel trapped, knowing someone else has escaped the cycle makes the idea of recovery feel possible. Across the city, libraries, schools, and even some coffee shops now keep boxes of Narcan on their shelves. The nasal spray can bring back a person who has stopped breathing, pulling them from the edge of death in seconds. At a library in East LA, a librarian explains how she used it on a young man in the restroom. "He wasn't moving," she says, her voice breaking. "I thought he was gone. But then he gasped, and I knew he had another chance." These small victories ripple through communities, showing that even ordinary places can become spaces of rescue. But Los Angeles is not only inventing its own answers, it is looking outward, borrowing ideas from cities that have faced similar storms. In Vancouver, Canada, safe supply programs give people regulated doses of medicine, reducing the risk of overdose from street drugs. In Rhode Island, treatment is woven into jails and hospitals so people are not dropped back into the cycle without care. Los Angeles leaders study these models, wondering how they might fit in a city as vast and varied as their own. Each success elsewhere sparks a question here. Can we reshape the way we think about addiction, not as a crime, but as an illness that needs healing? Still, challenges remain. A volunteer at a Venice family clinic points to the long line outside and sighs. We're doing what we can, but it's never enough. We need housing, we need jobs, we need compassion. Her words remind us that medicine alone cannot break the cycle. True change requires shelter where people can rest, food that gives strength, work that brings dignity, and policies that connect every piece together. Without these, the light risks fading before it reaches those who need it most. And yet, even in the darkest places, hope grows. On Skid Row, a mural painted by local artists stretches across a wall. Bright colors swirl into the shape of a phoenix rising from flames. Beneath it, someone has written in bold letters, "We are not gone." The people who walk past pause to look, some smiling, some wiping away tears. It is a reminder that behind every tent, every overdose, every statistic, there are lives still fighting, still waiting for a chance to rise. Breaking the cycle will not be quick, and it will not be easy. But Los Angeles shows us that even in a city weighed down by despair, seeds of change can take root. With mobile clinics, peer support, Narcan on every shelf, and lessons from cities that have found new ways forward, the path is being drawn step by step. The question now is whether we, as a society, will follow it. This fight is not only for Los Angeles, it is for every community, every family, every street where fentanyl has crept in. The call is clear. Speak to your loved ones, learn the signs, support the programs that save lives, and demand policies that bring care and dignity instead of shame and silence. Together, we can make sure the City of Angels does not remain the city of the walking dead, but becomes a place where life rises again, stronger than before.